Hallo und herzlich willkommen.
Hello, welcome to my keynote Break the Bias. Let's break down barriers in the mind and at work. I am delighted to see so many of you.
Starten möchte ich mit einem Gedankenexperiment.
I would like to start with a little thought experiment. I would like to show you 3 scenarios and just imagine them. I will explain them to you. Be creative. Let the images flow in your mind. You may also close your eyes if you'd like.
Stellt euch vor,
So please imagine you're really late to catch a flight. You run to the airport, you run through the airport, and you manage through the security check. You are already your name is already called at the gate. The gates close behind you, and you run into the airplane. And then, when you arrive in the airplane, the pilot steps out of the cockpit and greets you. Then, when you arrive at your destination, you go to a restaurant and you have a 3-course menu. There are no calories in this thought experiment. And so at the next table beside you, there is a couple celebrating their anniversary. And then on the next day, you go to an IT conference and the CEO of a very successful IT startup is entering the stage. So now, please open your eyes again. In your thoughts, was the pilot in his mid-40s? Was he white? This couple at the table next to you, was that a heterosexual couple or a homosexual couple? Maybe 2 men. And the CEO, did he look like me? That would be okay. It would be okay if you answered that first question with a yes and the other with a no. Those images are created in your mind which are normal for you and what you're familiar with. You think about what you see and what is normal to you. Things that you see less often, a black pilot or a homosexual couple or a female CEO, is just not as pronounced. You may be fascinated by the idea and you might like the idea, but the trend is usually that you see what you feel is normal. Daniel Kahneman, he was a Nobel Prize winner, summarized this as the following. He said that there are 2 ways of thinking. There's fast thinking and there's slow thinking. The fast thinking is system 1. It's fast, instinctive, always active, emotional, unconscious, and stereotypical. The system 2 is slow, exhausting, less active, logical, calculating, and conscious. Kahneman described a couple of experiments defining the differences between these 2 systems, and he describes how they come to a different solution in the end. System 2 is always lazy and is not as fast, and how it also promotes decisions that are made under stress, and then usually system 1 takes the decisions. And the image has been created in your mind much faster than you thought about this system, this couple that it could be homosexual and kiss in the open public. You would have to activate system 2 for that. This has kept people alive for millions, billions of years. Decide, is a plant poisonous or not? And also with the saber-toothed tiger, you just had to decide fight or flight. And this way you survived. Today, this is also applied when you cross a street where there are a lot of cars and you have to decide really quickly, will I run and cross the street or will I stand and wait? Our brain can process 11 million bits per second, and we only process 40 of them consciously. Our brain is mostly running on autopilot. We make decisions just from our gut, and we just make decisions as we have always done. This means our brain is mostly operating on an autopilot. It makes us efficient, and it makes us efficient in life and in work. And if we always had to activate System 2, it would be very exhausting. This unconscious, calculating thinking is not used as often, but it's also one of the biggest barriers for us and for diversity. We cannot just change these two systems in our brain. What we can change is our actions and how we make decisions. So what is happening outside of our brain. The Albright study has shown this very clearly. An old study from 2017 showed that in the big companies there are more Thomases on the management board than women. And another study in May showed that in the last 2 years there were more men named Stefan than women. So it was more Stefans and less Thomases, but still the problem stayed the same. This is the mini-me effect, and this means that if a person is similar to you, it is sympathetic to you. This may be the dialect or their origin or where they come from. And therefore, success by similarity, but not by qualification. In science, more than 200 of these biases have been found out. I would like to show another one to you, the stereotype and performance bias. It stereotypes are the image of people with certain features. Stereotypes are always unconscious because we always compare things we see with what we know. Stereotypes are a simplification of complex things, and they can have a negative and a positive effect alike. At the Harvard Business School, a study was conducted. In that study, 2 groups of students received a CV. It was identical to both groups. The only difference was the name. One group of students received the CV with the name Howard, and the other Heidi. The Howard group was impressed with the candidate. They thought he was very efficient and very committed, and they wanted to have him on his team and also imagined him to be the leader of the group. Heidi was not regarded so well. She was seen as too ambitious, power-hungry, and who would put her own will above the team. But this is a very typical gender stereotype. Stereotypes don't only hit women, but they also affect men who want to spend more time with their family, or they also affect people which are handicapped, people that are older. Maybe they're not regarded as ambitious anymore. They also affect pupils with a Turkish background, like Yusuf or Elit, who are often graded worse than their German students. And also names like Chantal, for example, is disregarded, as well as Kevin as a name, and it's usually regarded as their parents not being academics or having had no university degree, and therefore they're usually regarded as less efficient and less ambitious. These are walls, and they are really hard to overcome. It is a wall that we need to overcome, although we are all the same. In enterprises, biases can be really expensive. They can lead to wrong decisions regarding career impediments or also the promotion. And for individuals, it can mean that you have to wear a mask all the time and that you cannot be the person that you want or are. want to be or that you are, and that you cannot live up to your full potential.
In unserer MHP Diversity
In our
habe ich eine
MHP Diversity Team channel, I
Stellt euch vor,
asked
ihr wacht
my
in einer
fellow
biasfreien
teammates
Welt auf.
and asked them,
Was ist mit
imagine you wake up in a bias-free world. What would be the first thing you do?
nicht mehr machen?
And what wouldn't you
Ihr
do?
habt tolle Rückmeldungen
I
erhalten.
received great feedback regarding that question.
biasfreien Welt
In a bias-free world,
divers aufgeteilt.
leadership positions are equally distributed. In a bias-free world, people have the same chances and opportunities in work and in school. And in a bias-free world, language is neutral. And in a bias-free world, women can just say what they mean and not be regarded as emotional. In a bias-free world, I, as a woman, wouldn't question myself when leading a group completely consisting of men. In a bias-free world, I would be free from the feeling of having the wrong skin color. In a bias-free world, I wouldn't think about biases anymore. These are feedback from my colleagues at MHP. I forgot to say this when I started reading it out. So we need every single one of us to reach a bias-free world. We need to question our decisions. We need to search for contact with people outside of our own bubbles. And we also need to take more time to assess the character of people. And we can make the unexpected the expected. And I would like to give you 3 steps. If you think of tomorrow, so during the night you imagine the next day, you stir up images, and you are going to visualize what your new dentist is going to look like, or your new colleague, or who's going to take you home at night in a cab. And every time you imagine this, the picture, the images become more diverse. Be open-minded. And second, question your own reaction as soon as you have created these images. So how do I react if my new colleague is in a wheelchair? Question yourself and adapt accordingly. Third point is search for contact with other people from other nations. Integrate them. It takes a long time until the unexpected becomes the expected and until our standards change. But together we can achieve this. To summarize, I would like to make another thought experiment. So please close your eyes again if you'd like. Please imagine you are sitting in a lecture for IT and the professor enters the room. Imagine a couple adopting a child. Imagine the next German chancellor. So please, open your eyes again. And if the images have changed towards the images that you stirred up at the beginning of my talk, then if they have become a little more diverse and a little more colorful, then please raise your hand. I'm glad. So we have managed to make the unexpected and take the unexpected and turn it into the expected. And if we embrace this, then we can break through these barriers of the bias, break the bias.